It's Eric Wong from ericwongma.com, and I'm here with another Q&A segment. So got a bunch of questions here, and let's get right to it. Let's start answering them. Now, got this question from Garry Mcdonell from Ontario, Canada, my man Garry. He says, I hate eggs, but I'm trying a recommended T-booster diet. Is there a substitute? So for those of you who don't know, eggs are really beneficial for improving your testosterone because of all the different types of nutrients, the precursors to the hormones like testosterone. The precursors to the hormone testosterone are contained in eggs, like vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins in particular, A, D, E, K, those vitamins. So with that said, if you don't like eggs, but you want to get the benefits of eating eggs, one thing that you can do is, and I'm just thinking about this now, you could actually, all the nutrition to help to boost testosterone is found in the yolk. So what you can do is, if you're having smoothies, just get rid of the white, put the yolk in the smoothie, and boom, there you go. Because you want to eat those raw anyway, so you don't break down any of the nutrients. So you can throw that yolk right into the smoothie, and you shouldn't really taste it that much, especially if you mask it with some sweet fruits and things like that. So that's a tip for you to get your eggs in without actually having to eat them. So you just hide them in the smoothie. So hope that helps, but maybe you can do some hypnosis or something and get yourself over the egg issue. Now, next up, got this from Joanne Attwood, another fellow Canadian. I have a piriformis muscle issue. I was told the exercise you do for that depends on whether the muscle is shortened or lengthened. Do you have any help? So, if the muscle is shortened, then you're gonna have to lengthen it. If the muscle is lengthened, then you're gonna have to strengthen it. So, if the muscle is shortened and you wanna lengthen it, there's a couple things you can do. One, grab a ball, a lacrosse ball, and then work the piriformis. The way that you work the piriformis is you want to put the ball in the side of your hip, and the piriformis is over in this area. And then what you want to do is cross your leg over, cross your ankle over your other leg. And from there, move yourself over and around. And that's going to open up the piriformis so that the lacrosse ball or whatever ball you can use, I don't know, hard ball, a baseball, even a golf ball, whatever ball you're using can get right into that muscle, okay? And it's not hiding behind the glutes or anything like that. So that's one way. That's going to help to beat out those trigger points in that muscle. The next way is just simple stretch. Now the best stretch that I found for the piriformis, I'm going to do this. Let's go over to the box again. Or let's use this box. Because if you're tight, a lot of people recommend the pigeon stretch where you get on the ground like this. But a lot of people are way too tight for it to be an effective piriformis stretch because the leg will slide under like that, and then it's not a piriformis stretch anymore. So the best method I found is to use a bench or, in this case, a box, and you're just going to put your leg on the side here, on top of the box, and then get your knee to the ground. Okay? Just like so. Okay? And what you want to do here is just hang out. Because with the piriformis issue, if it's tight, it's going to be real tight. And it's going to be hard to get it to relax. So what you've got to do is you got to hang out, you got to breathe, deep breaths. Deep breaths, and just let that knee fall. You can force it a little bit, wobble it a bit, and then it's going to get lower and lower and lower until you can actually get into that muscle. So at first, there's a lot of neural tension. You won't even be able to stretch out the tissue. But you've got to sit there, and you can hang out here for a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, breathing, and just focusing on relaxing that muscle. You can see my knee drop there. I've got a tight right piriformis myself, and it takes me a while to get myself to the point where I can actually access that muscle, okay? So I do this on a bench, because it's padded and won't beat up your ankle, and it's the perfect height for me. This is a little bit killing my ankle, but that's okay. I'm only demonstrating the concept here. So now you can see my shin is pretty much flat on the box, and I had that much neural tension in the muscle before now I can actually feel the tissue actually lengthening. Okay, so that is a tip for the Piriformis. And I like this method a lot better because then you can also focus on your posture. So when you're there, you're staying nice and tall, whereas the pigeon on the ground, the yoga stretch, or the yoga pose, off your posture, you're all rounded, you're hunched over, and it's not even getting the proper muscle. Okay, so there you go. That's for a short and tight Piriformis. Now, I don't know anybody who's got a long Piriformis where it's too loose. So I don't actually have personal experience dealing with that, and I would really question if that would be your issue, if you're feeling pain there. If you have a long Piriformis, that's just going to contribute to decreased stability of the hip, and it's going to manifest in other areas, so knee pain or something like that. So that's my recommendation for the Piriformis issue. Now, let's go back and see what else we got here. All right, so this question. I went 3 weeks not missing a day, but week 4 fell on the holidays, and so I've slacked off a bit. And this is about the hip flexibility solution. So this is from Aaron Cropper from the States. He says, but up to this point, I've seen tremendous improvement in my hips. Since I've missed a week, do you recommend starting from week 1 again, or just pick up where I left off? Now, the reason why I wanted to answer this question was because this is basically something that you can apply. The answer is something you can apply, whether it's to workouts or any other workouts, not just the hip flexibility solution workouts. So if you're on a program, say it's a 12-week program, and week 8, you're about to start week 8, but you miss the entire week. What do? Restart week 7. That's what I would do. Because in that week's time off, you're going to regress a little bit. So you want to redo that week. Just by lengthening your program, you're just lengthening it by a week, but your results are going to be much, much better than if you take a week off and then continue moving forward at week 8 where you're supposed to be. Okay. So in this case, Aaron, you should go back. So you did week 3, you just completed week 3, complete week 3 again, and then move to week 4. Okay. Now, if you only miss like a day or 2 or 3 days even, 4 days even, then just start up, keep going. So if you're on week 3 and you're about to start week 4, keep going on week 4. If you miss 2 weeks, I would back off even more. So if you've done week 1, week 2, week 3, and then you go 2 weeks off, I would back up to week 2 and then restart from there. Okay? And that applies to any strength and conditioning program you do, any kind of flexibility program like the hip flexibility solution or anything else. So hope that helps. Now, got this question from my namesake, Ronald Wong from the States. He asked me, what exercises have you found to best strengthen and add flexibility to the gluteal muscles? I'm a physician and I appreciate your explanation based on muscle physiology. Okay, so flexibility and strengthening, let's do that simultaneously. My favorite exercise is the reverse lunge. So if you're really, really tight in the lunge, I'm just going to show you the body weight version here. Let's make sure you don't have too much backlight. So the reverse lunge, stay nice and tall, step it back, get the knee, you can just lightly touch the knee to the ground or just hover just above. But you can see here that I'm at 90 degrees at the hip. And that is a little bit of mobility for my glutes there. So depending on how tight you are, this could be your simultaneous strengthening and mobilizing exercise. Now, most people I know don't have glutes that are that tight where they limit that range of motion. So what you can do is use a step or a box and perform the reverse lunge the same way. So just start at the top, step back, and now you can see, look at my femur, my thigh bone is above 90 degrees. And now I can start to feel that stretch in my glute there, and then drive myself up on this front foot, okay? I'm not pushing up off this back foot too much, but I'm driving off the front foot, trying to engage the glute. So I'm stepping back, same thing, aim to get the knee just to kiss the ground, but stay stable on this front foot, and then engage the glute to drive me all the way up. So that is going to be full range of motion. You're going to be lengthening and strengthening at the same time. So that is my favorite exercise to lengthen and strengthen simultaneously. Now, pretty much most lower body exercises are going to train your glutes, like squats, deadlifts, those major movement, compound movement exercises are great. And another exercise that is good is the hip thrust. So hip thrust, I'll do this on, you can do it on a Swiss ball, on the bench. Here, you put a weight, dumbbell, barbell across your hips here, go down, and then you just drive it. And at the top, I like to hold it for a few seconds, like 4 seconds, and then lower down under control, trying to keep the glutes on. So don't just let the glutes shut off and drop down, but keep the glutes on, lower the weight eccentrically with the glutes, and then you drive them. Okay, so this is another great exercise for strengthening the glutes. And this is going to allow you to really get into the glutes because it's an isolated exercise. Movements like the squat and the deadlift, they're compound movements, so you got all these other muscles working at the same time, whereas in the hip thrust, your glutes are isolated. You can really focus that mind to muscle connection and get those guys on. All right, so that's great exercise for strengthening. Ronald, Dr. Wong, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I got one more question here. And this is from Fletcher Wilson, and he says, when I sit, I feel real tight in the hip flexor adductor area. I can stand to take the pressure off, but I was curious if you have input on how to stretch/strengthen this specific area as it gets tight almost immediately when I sit. So if there is an area of your HFS program I should focus on to help with this, please point me in the right direction. Now, let me talk a little bit about the way the Hip Flexibility Solution program is designed. And it's designed as a complete program that you do all of it. You do the whole thing. It's a holistic program. And for those of you who know the program, it's based on the 3D flexibility system that develops or that addresses flexibility through all different factors. Strength, neuromuscular factors, all the different tissue like muscles, fascia, and all these different factors that you can learn more about at hipflexibilitysolution.com. There's a little widget where you can play with the graphics and learn more about that system. But the key there is to do the entire program as it's designed, because you have no idea why you might be tight. It could be muscles, could be a neuromuscular thing, could be a strength thing, could be a stability thing, who knows. Do the whole program and it's going to address everything, and hopefully that takes care of your issue. Specifically, any kind of active self-myofascial release or foam rolling or lacrosse ball into the hip flexor area might help with any kind of trigger point stuff. And then the one exercise that I like that I've put out is the 2-minute sequence for people who sit too much. And you can watch that video, either click the link down below or in the description, and I'll link to it so you can see that. But that sequence is great for anybody who sits a lot. So do that during the day. If you can do that multiple times during the day, you're gonna feel a ton better because of it, okay? So hopefully that answered your question. Now, if you've got a question for me, you can ask me at ericwongmma.com/ask. Just put your name in, submit your question, and I'll look through it all at the end of the week, and then if I choose your question, you'll get it answered via video, okay? So watch for that. If you want to make sure you get these videos, make sure you subscribe and add yourself to my email list. All right, so I'm out. That was this week's Q&A. I'll see you next time. Later.